Hey, thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to be redefining impossible. My name is Zach Lewis, and in this video, I'm going to show you how with the right systems, in only 90 days, you can reduce operating costs of your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business by at least $250,000 annually by automating over 1,000 tasks per day and tracking your commission and retention rates by agent, closer, carrier, and state. T65 Healthcare is a Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance call center client whose income was only limited by their lack of awareness of how technological creativity could improve their business process. Now, this chart reflects the impact applying automation-driven workflows to T65 Healthcare's sales process had on monthly production. Now, T65 was an extreme case of being severely limited in the volume of business they could facilitate due to the number of manual tasks associated with closing a deal from lead through fulfillment. So we can follow the exponential growth they experienced from the beginning of our relationship onward and conclude that they had been leaving a substantial amount of money on the table due to inefficiency. So when we met Mike and Kyle in May of 2019, they closed 56 deals that month. And when we began the initial implementation of various automation workflows to high priority tasks in May, by July, they closed 360 deals in a single month. And after the full implementation of their automation build in October, they would go on to close 735 deals that month and set the stage for their new norm. So in the first 90 days, they grew monthly sales by 554%. And for the 6-month period between May and October, they increased month-over-month production by a staggering 1,214%. Now, according to research gathered by Nicole Lee at Work Auto, lost productivity and poorly managed leads cost companies at least $1 trillion every single year. And employees spend 20 to 40% of their time searching for documents or data manually. She goes on further to show that professionals spend 50% of their time searching for information and take an average of 18 minutes to locate each particular document or piece of data. So this statistic perfectly expresses a major problem T65 experienced that seriously suppressed their earning potential relative to their marketing and lead generation efforts. Now, Mike and Kyle needed 2 full-time employees just to manually delegate live leads to their sales agents. So when we started their build in May, they were just struggling to manage the 317 leads they generated that month. But after a full implementation of a customized CRM that deployed automation-driven workflows, they successfully increased the number of leads they could facilitate by 2,316%. So their marketing efforts were incredibly successful, but leads were coming in faster than they could distribute to any agent by hand. So the process was just highly disorganized and inefficient, but by automating this function, we transformed the lead management process into a well-oiled machine. And this image illustrates an example of the type of automation-driven workflows that produce the exponential results we see in their lead management and corresponding sales production in the previous 2 charts. So what you're seeing is a sequence of tasks that are executed automatically with no human intervention to delegate leads and lead follow-up for the agents. This is only a small sample for all the workflows they now execute on a daily basis. But in this example, we can see there are 15 action items being completed between 11:53 and 11:54 a.m., a total of 1 minute, okay? And the overlap you may notice in a few of these tasks indicates actions that are simultaneously being executed. So in total, we were able to automate over 250,000 sequential tasks that T65 employees were previously doing by hand, and that translated into reducing their overall operational costs by $350,000 a year. Now, research conducted by the Lens Cold Group revealed 63% of companies outgrow their competition with marketing automation. So this information is critical if you're an owner or manager of a Medicare Advantage or Medigap insurance sales business with 10 or more employees that generates at least $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue, but is seeking to scale your business exponentially. Okay? The truth is you're struggling to scale successfully because your operating expenses continue to grow at the same rate as your sales, but you can't get a good handle on the exact problem because you don't have the right systems to accurately track your business metrics to implement any type of strategy with confidence. You're frustrated because you know you're leaving money on the table. You know in this technologically advanced age there should be a better and more profitable way, but you've yet to find that scalable solution. And you've explored different CRM platforms, but they were either too generic to fit your sales process or too expensive to justify trying them. So you've been forced into a limiting belief system for what's possible for your business from a technology perspective, be it functionality or cost, for making creative enhancements to your sales and operational processes. And it's not your fault. Okay? And the truth is, you're not alone in how you feel. The majority of automation-based CRMs have only been available to large enterprises and corporations with huge budgets, and alternative out-of-the-box CRMs are designed to suit the masses without addressing the specific concerns of your particular business. But it doesn't matter how much smarter you are or how savvy your sales staff is. You simply cannot achieve the same level of production as your competitor can in the same workday with the same number of people. Their agents spend more time selling than yours. They're more profitable since it costs them a fraction of what it costs you. And they have total visibility into every aspect of their business for making informed, strategic decisions to take market share from you. Now, here's the reality. Okay? Until now, Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales businesses had to accept using poorly built CRMs or siloed systems that don't communicate with each other to complete essential daily business functions and track overall performance. Okay? The CRMs that can streamline and integrate all of these various systems through automation on one shared, consolidated, centralized platform have historically only been available to large enterprises and corporations, primarily due to their cost. Now, an affordable customized CRM option now exists that is uniquely suited to Medicare Advantage and Medigap businesses. And this type of platform can, in fact, reduce operating costs by at least $250,000 annually from automating over 1,000 tasks per day, and by allowing you to track your commission and retention rates by agent, closer, carrier, and state, and all that can be achieved in less than 90 days. But before we dive too far down the rabbit hole, I wanted to just give a little bit of background about ourselves and the company. My name is Zach Lewis. I'm the Solutions Director at StackBoost.io. And previously, I worked as a senior marketing strategist at various financial services businesses. Now, part of my responsibilities was for the research and selection of CRM platforms that could allow our companies to scale our sales activity successfully. So that means systems that had the type of functionality that would allow us to better manage and automate our sales process, marketing initiatives, lead follow-up, data integrity, enterprise organization, reporting, et cetera, right? So I've interviewed Salesforce consultants. I've worked with other large, big budget platforms to kind of get a better assessment in terms of what could be done for our business. I've worked very closely with internal IT departments on a very large scale with multi-million-dollar budgets. And I've also worked and interviewed various what we call out-of-the-box CRMs as a customer in a managerial perspective. So when I've been in your shoes and I've been down that journey. Now, overall, I'm sure you can relate. My experience could be summed up basically as frustrating. Okay? What I needed just didn't seem to be available as a standalone product. And for the most part, it was just way too expensive to have custom built. So most recently, I worked as part of one of the highest producing mortgage teams in the country, and we worked entirely out of manually managed, siloed platforms. Now, what that looks like is 2 different CRMs, and one of which was Salesforce, but no one in our team could seem to be able to figure out how to use it, or at least figure out how to use it effectively. It became a huge frustration point. We had marketing technology doing emails out of mass email systems like MailChimp and constant contact. We had an SMS, MMS system that we used. We had an event software system we used. We host webinars on different ones. We had our actual mortgage technology. So we had like a handful of various, we had a dialer, we had a phone system. So we're a handful of various different siloed platforms that all of us worked out of. And the most frustrating part was how much talent we had in under one roof and how successful we were using that type of system. And had we been aware of what was truly possible from a technology aspect, I can't even imagine how successful we really could have been. Now, Richard Schaefer and I have been really good friends for years, long before he started StackBoost.io. Okay, he's just a brilliant engineer who spent the better part of a decade as an in-house CRM architect for various healthcare-focused call centers, designing customized, automation-based CRM and ERM platforms. Now, a few months ago, Richard shared with me that he had found his calling, in his words. Okay, he described that over the years of his firsthand observations for many of the disadvantages that Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales businesses were basically facing when it came to scaling, all stemmed from the fact that there was no platform really designed to suit their particular business needs. So he kind of went on in detail for exactly what he saw and how he'd been building these solutions and offering this solution to this problem that was generating very, very profitable results for his clients, a handful of which happened to actually be his previous employers who are now paying him a fraction of what he was being paid on salary. And so for me, when he shared all this information, again, being in that managerial customer standpoint, having this sort of experience, I just felt so much like relief. It was almost this aha type of moment, like, wow, okay, this kind of stuff can actually be done. Yes, I'm not in the healthcare business, but I tremendously empathize with the frustration, right? Like this was a systematic problem that transcended industries, and now a real solution was available. And since that time, we've been working together to help expose our clients and give our clients and others that same aha moment by showing them their true potential that's available when leveraging the benefits of technology for selling Medicare Advantage and Medigap health insurance on a much grander scale. Now, to help show you how we can get you to this place, the first thing we need to get out of the way is by addressing that it's not your place to decide what's possible. Okay? The barrier between your current state and the seemingly outrageous possibility we say you can achieve stems solely from the limited way of thinking forced upon you for what's possible when it comes to technology. Simply put, it's ignorance. Now, when I say ignorance, I don't mean stupidity. Okay? Ignorance is simply the lack of awareness to this truth. And you lack the awareness of this truth because the marketplace has preferred you come to accept limitations of their service in order to mass market scalable software that provides generic solutions to generic problems. Now, it's not scalable for you, but for them to use a one-size-fits-all model to sell large volumes of licenses, right? When you asked for changes, you were told no. And it's either because it couldn't be done or because they wouldn't do it just for you, right? So as a result, you've become conditioned to believe that it's just the way it is. And your business would thus need to accept the limitations and work around them to leverage the nominal benefits associated with it. Now, T65 Healthcare was boxed into this way of thinking as well. And what ownership will tell you is that the greatest thing to happen to their business was coming to understand that they were never in the position to determine what was possible to begin with. Now, once freed from this limited belief system and now having the resource for inquiring about their most seemingly far-fetched ideas and only to have those ideas come to fruition is what allowed them to achieve scale beyond their wildest imagination. Okay? Before, And we mentioned earlier, T65 had employed 2 full-time staff to delegate leads manually for sales agents to call every single day. Now, they would load these lead lists into Google Sheets and disperse them among sales staff. And the only strategy employed for delegating these leads was to evenly distribute them based on the agent availability, right? Who's up next? So every morning, agents would log in, look at their lead list, and begin manually plugging in each contact through VanillaSoft, which was their dialer, to start making calls. Now, the outcome of each call would be logged by hand within their respective Google Sheet, and then their back office staff would seek to reconcile the results from each individual agent's spreadsheet at the end of the day. So we can see, walking through that process, just how likely this process is going to become highly inefficient and terribly disorganized. And a lot of faith was being placed in the agent to notate calls properly and to conduct the appropriate follow-up in the future without any real accountability or oversight. So ownership felt like they were throwing leads into this black box with the hope that enough sales would come out the other side to just keep the lights on. And this can hardly be defined as a scalable process. Now, Mike and Kyle, who are the owners of T65, are incredibly smart people, and they're very, very, very savvy sales professionals, okay? They merely weren't aware that a better alternative was equally affordable as it was possible. So the onset of our relationship was actually predicated solely on consolidating all these external systems into one centralized platform that employees could work out of seamlessly. Now, as time went on, both Mike and Kyle were in constant communication with our solutions team, asking questions to better understand how they could make more efficient changes to their process through the better use of technology. And what they found was every time they inquired about a problem, they were greeted with a solution. So this began to have a profound impact on their view of their business, as they could now expand on their thinking for engineering more creative sales strategies. It was very clear to them now that they lacked the credibility to determine what was impossible, and they proceeded accordingly, meaning they would identify an inefficiency in the process, and then without any hesitation, they would just consult us at Stack Boost to determine if their solution was actually possible without making their own assumptions for it. And this has become a fundamental component for training all managerial staff, okay? The first aha experience that they actually had is what leads to the code that you can see in this image, right? T65 has a true talent for lead generation. All right, but they knew they weren't maximizing the benefits of their efforts. There was a lot of meat being left on the bone. And in their ideal world, okay, technology could assist in delegating leads based on a highly specific sets of criteria for what leads would be assigned to which agent at a specific time. And then, after the initial call would be made, they would want to remove the reliance on the agent to follow up by implementing a set of automated workflows whereby the agent would be tasked with a follow-up call at a designated date and time in the future, and have custom templated emails and texts would be sent out in a particular sequence at specific times after the initial call. And this ideal scenario would also ideally be done automatically every day for hundreds of leads. So the image you see here is a partial snapshot of the code that StackBoost.io wrote to accomplish this ideal objective, okay, that they thought was impossible. This automation-based workflow now imports all of T65's new leads through their CRM. It then sorts them by a particular set of attributes, uploads each sales agent's leads into their dialer to call automatically at predetermined times in the day. Now, some of the criteria that we have included into this set based on management's requests includes setting a tier system based on agent seniority, right? So based on basically how successful that person is versus a new agent. Defining limitations ownership places on the number of leads each agent can take based on tier. Obviously, they want to only give a certain number of leads to people who have lower conversion rate versus those who are just absolutely crushing it. The state where the lead lives in order to appropriately assign those leads based on where the agent is actually licensed, right? There's no sense in giving someone a lead that is located in the state of North Carolina if that agent actually isn't licensed in North Carolina. The time of day the lead requested to be contacted, and then assign leads to agents based on follow-up calls, based on the number of times the lead has been contacted, ranked from brand new through exhausted. Now, sales agents went from manually setting up their daily tasks and organizing their calls to simply logging in and putting on their headset. Okay? The rest was on autopilot. And the ability to effectively track and report on all activity became a byproduct of the process, which we'll discuss a little bit later on here in more detail. Now, everyone operates at their highest and best, including Mike and Kyle as owners of the business. They remain 100% focused on creating new ways to sell insurance without the self-imposed limitations from making their own determination for what can or cannot be done. And the result is a rapid acceleration of scale. So you may have a couple of questions after hearing this and wanting to get a better understanding of a few points. So let's just kind of point those out here up front. So first and foremost, why does my current CRM limit the level of customization for achieving the same task? Okay. Out of the box CRMs are designed to satisfy the generic needs of a particular industry in mass form. Okay? They seek to address the most common functionality of businesses in that niche to include tools such as, template reports, basic organization of data, the ability to categorize contacts, the ability to assign tasks to agents, the ability to send templated email reports, et cetera. The goal is to build something that offers just enough value to satisfy the more common features of their client base, basically by assuming that all of you do the exact same thing. Okay? Customization adds specificity, and that's the opposite of their objective, okay, when they're trying to scale a fixed product. All right? Another question that we commonly get are we, meaning StackBoost.io, a consultant or a CRM provider? Both. So we configure CRMs built by Jira Core, which is a highly recognized CRM technology platform with the same power and functionality as Salesforce, except we tailor make it to your business. And we provide ongoing solutions consulting as part of your service to assist in expanding your thinking about the relationship between technology and selling, then building out those visions and applying them to your daily process. Now, in the famous words of CNBC's Marcus Lemonis, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And what we found in the case of Medicare Advantage and Medigap health insurance businesses is that most of you don't truly know your business, but that's not really your fault, and the cards just seem stacked against you, okay? But when you do have the appropriate technological infrastructure, reporting actually becomes a byproduct of your business process instead of a standalone process in and of itself. And what we've come to understand through our ongoing conversations with leaders within the Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales industry is that none of you can really state with certainty what your commissions are supposed to be for the year, nor the sales level and retention by carrier. Now, as an example, we spoke with one of our clients who's a smaller insurance sales business, and he shared with us how he received 13 different 1099s last year, all of which the paperwork is just asinine to review and impossible to compare against his records for accurately determining what his income was supposed to be for that year. And we found this story really fascinating. So we said, is there anyone else we can talk to with the same experience? So he introduced us to another individual who is very productive insurance sales leader who actually writes an average of about $2 million in policies annually. And this individual shared with us a story where basically he said, I've had no idea what my retention rate is or what my commission sales were supposed to be every year since I've even been in this business. And in fact, this year he just found out by sheer luck that he had not been getting paid on residuals from a downline for the last 2 years, which in his particular case equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue to the reason that he just simply can't track any of this. So there's clearly a systemic problem throughout the industry that has resulted in this kind of black box style income structure, right? Write as many policies as possible and just sort of hope the commissions are paid accurate on the other side, right? Now, after conducting research on this topic, we've yet to really find an accurate dollar figure to reflect those lost that lost revenue annually that insurance agents are failing to be compensated on as a result of this problem. But we can assume based on our research that it's probably pretty significant. However, we have, as a result of this, created a solution that now allows these same individuals to accurately track their business, to compare against commissions for ensuring such losses are never incurred again. Okay? Our clients now monitor their sales and retention rates on an ongoing basis and can contest when necessary to the carrier with statistical evidence for recouping commissions. So I want to show you a few examples of some of what this customized reporting functionality looks like from a depth perspective. In this one particular case, we're going to use T65 to help show what's possible and how robust or how granular we can really get. So in this image, we're seeing a portion of T65's dashboard that actually allows ownership to view all of their policies written by year, originated by sales agent, the gender of the insured customer, and the state of the actual customer resides in, right? Here we can see how T65 can view specific details as to the success rate of each marketing campaign they deploy relative to other variables, including sales agent and state of residency for year-over-year analysis. So again, what are we looking at here? So for the year that it's created, we can go from when they started tracking this stuff in 2017, 2018, 2019. At any point in time, they can review every one of their marketing campaigns by year, by various variables, to be able to assess the correlating factors that lead to the success or failure of each campaign and marketing strategy in terms of ROI. Now here, we can see how they can actually track the performance of each individual sales agent relative to all other variables for making appropriate adjustments as needed to distribute leads based on correlating factors. So again, we're going back to getting as granular as possible. So before we showed the code that led to T65 being able to automatically distribute leads amongst their various agents, right? Well, how were they able to determine to make, for who gets what based on what criteria? How did you determine the tier of the agent, especially if you want to determine the tier of the agent based on campaign? Because these leads are coming in from various different sources, be it a referral, be it a mailer, whatever the case may be, and they want to know down to the very root of the conversation. What correlating factors does Katie, the insurance agent, have that's made her really successful in this area versus where she's failing, versus David, who's really successful with these people in this state on this campaign, and thereby have the ability to distribute leads on a daily basis as they come in according to the proven metrics and relationships. And that's what this allows them to be able to start to look into for making those future determinations. So at any given time, they can actually assess their daily performance of their sales staff. Okay? This image reflects a living dashboard that updates as the business activity takes place, including but not limiting to phone calls taken and ended, when a lead change status, a policy is written, or a sale is made. This is all live. So if I were clicking on this reporting function right now, every 5 seconds, you would see these numbers change, and the math change, the conversion change. One click, they're seeing all of these numbers being run. Now this image reflects how T65 can drill down into the success or failure of each particular marketing campaign across all states to make business decisions. So using this report, Mike and Kyle can see how much business any particular campaign has generated by state and determine what demographics have responded positively or negatively in order to make strategic business decisions for ongoing investments or reallocation of resources to areas that deliver greater success, right? How else are they supposed to know the success or failure of any particular marketing campaign if they have no idea of how to see the metrics related to the response rates of each one? They send a mailer out that goes nationwide. They want to know how many people responded from each particular state based on age, based on gender, based on whether they ended up buying a policy, etc. And all of that information allows them to determine, well, if we put X amount of dollars into the West Coast and we put Y amount of dollars into the South, and we saw that these relationships have resulted in a greater proportion of sales, maybe we should remove how much we put into the West Coast and we should increase the amount we put into the South. And they can make that sort of determination with actual facts to back the decision. It's not a gut feeling, okay? There are no assumptions that need to be made when considering these types of business decisions, because everything that is done on a day-to-day basis in their business can be tracked as a data point and reported on for analysis. When all external systems, okay, we take all these various pieces that most people are working out of siloed and we consolidate them into one centralized location, all activity can be converted into trackable data points and then reported on accordingly. So reporting just becomes a byproduct of the process instead of a standalone process in and of itself. As things happen, it's just telling us what's happening. We eliminate the need for assumptions, nor the subjective opinions of others based on observations. We simply are reporting the activity as statistical facts to tell the story of a specific segment of your business. None of our clients started with this type of transparency, I assure you. They all came from a world of either total disorganization or highly generic reporting functionality that produced totally inaccurate information or incomplete reporting into the facts of their business. But they were unaware that there was any other way of doing this, especially for such robust analytics such as those we just shared with you. In fact, systemically, what we found from interviews with industry leaders is the ability to track such metrics at this level and this detail is perceived as impossible. And part of why we're having to create this video with actual evidence of it existing. Now, Blackhawk Media is a DME client of ours who their tracking process is what we now refer to as a rainbow of disarray. Okay? Some of you may recognize or relate to the image we see here that reflects the Google spreadsheet Blackhawk employees all use to track leads and their corresponding sales. Okay? While it served its purpose when Blackhawk first started as a company, it quickly proved ineffective as they grew and information became highly disorganized and inaccurate in accordance with the rising headcount. Okay? Yeah, the shared spreadsheet, when there was a few people in it, it was a little bit more easy to be able to have a little bit of oversight and a little bit of accountability. But as it grows, it's a lot harder to navigate, and a lot of hands are in the soup. A lot of chefs are in the kitchen, right? So management would have to then run their reports manually by creating charts and tables based on this disorganized information. So like a calculator, right? It's only as valuable as what you put in. So if the information that you input into the calculator is poor, the output's going to be poor as well. And it's the same thing with this. So Google Sheets, if they're running these reports, but there's 35 different people working out of a spreadsheet that are putting inaccurate information, no matter how good you are with Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel or any of these types of spreadsheets, no matter how fancy the tool is you build, the information itself is wrong to begin with. And whatever decision you make is based on inaccurate information. And in the pursuit of scale, this type of process just does not suffice. So Blackhawk recognized, especially for a medical equipment business, that it's vital to find software that could do a better job managing and reporting their data. And they interviewed several out-of-the-box CRM companies and ultimately selected one that served a business model most similar to theirs. Now, out-of-the-box CRMs are typically no-code programs that aren't customizable, as their functionality is primarily geared towards the generalized client base they serve. Now, in fairness, this decision was still a significant step in the right direction in that it allowed Blackhawk to, again, consolidate all their data in one location with a system that offered some more intuitive features related to reporting. But as the owner of your business, okay, let's be honest, you have greater knowledge into the specific activities that drive or suppress your production than the engineer that's actually creating the report. So Blackhawk's ownership really wanted to look at very specific data, and they needed customization in their reporting to show these metrics. But the platform they were using was for a similar industry, not the same industry. And so they're not willing to take on the hours, the engineering hours, for completing this type of custom project, since it didn't actually serve the needs of the majority of their clients. They weren't going to do it just for Blackhawk. And this image is a snapshot of their reporting dashboard. So we can see on the left-hand side of the pane the various templated reporting options available, and none of which would fully satisfy the needs Blackhawk management had. So ultimately, they had to accept the limitations as the norm, but frustration later followed. So when we sat down with them and we analyzed Blackhawk's business model, we observed the difference between, a medical equipment's day-to-day functions relative to other healthcare-focused call centers or sales businesses for understanding the unique data points they wanted to track. Okay? To build out these customized reporting tools, we integrated Tableau, which is the best reporting software on the market that was recently acquired by Salesforce last year for $16 billion, and we integrated it into their CRM. Now, we wrote coded solutions that allowed Tableau to communicate effectively with the CRM that was able to feed both live and historical data into a customized one-click reporting tool, which is what you see here. Now, when I refer to live data, I'm speaking about having visibility into all business activity as it happens. When an agent makes a call using the dialer, we integrate it into Blackhawk CRM. Call information is logged automatically and fed into the lead management report for the sales director to view. Now, as an example, this report shows live insight into Blackhawk's medical equipment pipeline. When an agent makes a call, they no longer manually input that action. The activity is automatically fed as a data point into Tableau as it happens. And when the agent logs the outcome of the call, that outcome is then fed into the report as well. So having access now to all the raw data, we simply needed to just identify the particulars that Blackhawk and their ownership wanted to track, and then just direct the system to pull the appropriate information and illustrate visually how management preferred. Meaning if they had, preference for a chart versus a table versus a graph. In this case, they really like that sort of table lined up based on specific variables they wanted to be able to see all within one pane. So as we compare this view to the previous templated reports Blackhawk was forced to use through an out-of-the-box platform, it's critical to note the differences, okay? This view was designed to management's exact specifications, all right? It's very simple to navigate, and it makes the most critical data points viewable with one glance. In Blackhawk's case, the first thing they wanted to see when they logged in was the status of all of their sales by date, by product, by insurance carrier, by supplier, and by the agent who originated the sale. Now, this is only the dashboard. Additional reports are also available for visualizing the relationship between specific variables for making business decisions. But the ability to make these custom adjustments as needed additionally incentivize ownership to be more observant of their business activity, knowing they can analyze other potentially critical data points for making strategic decisions. Now, this image serves as an additional testament to data integrity, okay? With all aspects of T65's business being tracked accurately, we custom built payroll functionality into their system. This is how the wall between CRM and ERM gets taken down, right? Some of you may have heard of CRM versus an ERM. Some of you may actually employ two different systems based on your understanding that they're two separate and distinct items, okay? The general understanding is that CRM systems are for client relationships and ERM is for operational activity. Well, when all data is centralized and business activity being accurately tracked live, the appropriate tools can just be created at will for managing all functions for both sales and operational purposes seamlessly within the same system. So this type of reporting is only possible when all external systems used for conducting business are consolidated into one centralized platform to communicate with each other harmoniously. Okay? The corresponding outcome is that all business activity is converted into data points that can be tracked and reported on with near perfect accuracy. This allows you to get as granular as possible when it comes to analyzing the interconnected relationships within your business process. It frees your creative mind to engineer unique and exciting ideas by redefining what's possible. So some of you may be asking at this point, what program can create these kinds of reports? So Tableau is the best software in the industry, period. You can purchase it yourself, but StackBoost.io does roll it in with our offering as part of your CRM. Okay. Another common question, how do you know the information is accurate? Wonderful question. Reports are generated according to the data. There's no guesswork or assumptions made. With automation, it simply takes that data and applies the appropriate calculations to present the information you want easily, i.e. chart, graph, table, etc. And reporting just simply becomes a byproduct of the process. What activities can actually be tracked? Truth of the matter is, any business activity your company conducts using technology can actually be tracked and reporting on once it's actually integrated into the CRM platform. All right, so let's talk now about another really, really important function for scaling. And in particular, it's something that we call automation workflows, and we're going to apply them to a high volume of repetitive and redundant tasks. And in doing so, we can eliminate over 1,000 manual tasks that your company and your employees are doing by hand every day that account for hundreds and hundreds of hours per month of time they could be spending on revenue generating activity. So as the example, we're going to talk about Guardian LifeWatch, which is a medical equipment company client of ours that really struggled with the amount of overhead expenses and wasted labor hours that are associated with closing a sale due to a high volume of these types of repetitive tasks being done by hand. And when I say repetitive tasks, I mean, for example, let's say creating a new contact. You get information from leads from various sources and manually inputting that person's information. Save, the next one, save, the next one, save. All these are repeated tasks. They're repetitive in nature, and they're one that a system can do more efficiently. Now, in this image, we see a snapshot of the previous CRM they purchased that was built for the purposes of streamlining their sales process. Okay? The goal here was to consolidate all data related to lead management, sales, and payment processing into one centralized platform that was accessible to all employees. Now, it was definitely a step up from their previous methods using Google Sheets, and they found value in its use, but they had no idea they could still eliminate a further 1,000 plus manual tasks daily that they were still having to do in order to fulfill their daily order flow. So many of you can probably relate to this type of story, okay? Regardless of, for the most part, sales businesses deal with this kind of experience in general, whether it's a medical equipment or Medigap, Medicare Advantage. This part tends to transcend along industry lines, okay? Guardian sales process involved working out of multiple siloed systems by hand to complete daily business functions, okay? The day started out where administrative staff would manually load the leads that they got from various sources, various marketing campaigns that churned out production, and they would load these leads into the CRM and then disperse them to agents based purely on seniority. It was really the only function or the only strategy they had available to them at the time. The sales agent, when they would come in for the day, would then manually upload those leads they received into their dialer and would start making their calls. Now, after every single call, this is where things get a little bit confusing, right? After every call, the sales agent was responsible for updating the call notes in the system. They were responsible for changing the status of the lead. And they were responsible for organizing and orchestrating follow-up activity to actually work that lead through exhaustion. So when a sale was made, this is where the process is even more interesting. They would gather the customer's pertinent information because not everything was involved in the actual lead ticket. So they didn't necessarily have everything related to that individual when it came time to make a sale. So there were still additional pieces that needed to be captured. So when that sale was made by the agent, they would have to gather that information, okay? And then they would email or send a Skype message to an administrative staff to start creating a new ticket within the CRM to prepare the order for closing. So again, they're sending it by email or by Skype manually to that back office staff while they're on the phone with the customer. All right. And then when the customer was ready to be transferred to that same back office staff to actually close the sale, they would transfer the call, and that administrative staff would work between 6 different tabs on their CRM in order to create the appropriate ticket, fill in the appropriate information, validate the customer's payment information, and then finally actually charge the card to complete the sale. So when we looked at both components of that, at the beginning of when the starter, the opener, the sales agent, would get in for the day, organize their leads, prepare themselves for their call, through sending that information to the administrative staff to create the appropriate file within the CRM, and then for that administrative staff to actually get all the information from the Skype message or the email, work between the various tabs, create the appropriate file, and finally bill and facilitate that sale. They estimated, ownership looked at it and said that takes about 7 minutes per deal. Now, Guardian employees work a standard 8-hour day. So each employee thus has an inherent limitation on how many deals they can actually bill before Guardian has to look at hiring additional staff to facilitate any increase in sales volume, right? Based on that process, there's a very clear and concise amount of time it takes to handle that amount of work, and for one human being to be able to complete that amount of work within an 8-hour period. So if we account, though, in an 8-hour day, we account for 1 hour of lunch and the typical breaks that people take, we can come to a conclusion and calculate that each administrative staff member can only fulfill a total of 60 deals per day until an additional employee needs to be hired and paid full time. So when we reviewed Guardian's business process, we identified this particular scenario in their workflow is an ideal starting point for where automation could be applied and immediately relieve the limitations on their growth that are placed as a result of the amount of manual work associated with facilitating business. So what you see in this image is the new automated workflow we built for them to achieve the goal. Now, the very first thing that has to be done in order for any automation workflows to truly be successful and maximized to the utmost potential is all external programs, all external software and technology have to be integrated into one system. So first we integrated all their systems, including their dialer, their merchant software, their lead management, their delivery, their processing, etc. All of it into one platform, and we choose to use Jira Core because we found it's the best in the market. And it allows all these various gears of the machine to work together seamlessly. Okay? Now, once all these quote-unquote gears were properly in place, we can now deploy a variety of automated workflows that would work harmoniously together at an exponentially faster and more efficient rate for managing order flow and conducting follow-up. So what does that look like? Okay? So at specific times of the day, all the leads garnered from various marketing initiatives would be gathered by the CRM and fed into the CRM, and then would disperse into each sales agent's dashboard and distributed according to specific criteria that was designated by Guardian's ownership. So in the same way we referred to a T65, they had a very specific process in terms of how they like distributing leads based on state, based on seniority, etc. Guardian has their own as well, and that's how their new process was for distributing leads, was based on these very specific criteria. So what would happen here is the same thing. The agent would show up for the day, and the only thing they had to do was pick up the phone and click ready. And the appropriate leads would start to fill in automatically. It was just on autopilot. Now, after each call that this agent would make, they could then disposition the lead based on status. And for those statuses requiring follow-up, a set of automated rules would execute to send text, email reminders, or schedule future tasks for that sales agent to call again at a predetermined date and time in the future. So to go a little bit further into that, what I'm referring to is a lot of the accountability and ownership on tracking these leads and ensuring that the proper follow-up is being conducted falls squarely on the shoulders of the sales agent. And in theory, I guess that's supposed to be the best way. But when you're a high-functioning, high-producing, fast-paced sales business trying to get as much deals through the door, the problem becomes it's very difficult to keep track of everything that's going on, especially getting organized for when's the next time you're supposed to follow up on a deal that you called yesterday that left a voicemail. So instead of letting that entire onus fall on the agent, the system picks up the slack. So based on whatever disposition that lead is supposed to be put into, a series of tasks would be executed automatically to assist in managing that workload. So for example, if the agent calls and a person doesn't pick up the phone, they leave a voicemail, that agent doesn't have to go into their calendar and say, okay, I've got to call this person, I've got to email them tomorrow, and then I've got to call them the next day, I've got to call them this day, and here's the notes on this person, okay, time for me to call the next lead. There's a high probability that that lead will fall by the wayside. But instead, again, the system's picking up the slack. So they call that lead, the voicemail is placed, they go into that person's contact information where all that information is, they change the status to left a voicemail, and now the system is set to do a consistent follow-up for the next 2 weeks. An automatic text message tomorrow saying, hey, just want to let you know, gave you a shout about your inquiry. It's so-and-so the sales agent. Please give me a call at this number. I'd love to chat. The next day, an automatic email goes out. Again, both the text and the email are taking the information that's already in the system and using it to fill out a templated version and send out without the agent having any involvement. And even further, the system then places a task on that agent's schedule for them at a predetermined date and time based on when that lead was called for them to make the next call. So now you've really taken over the accountability and the ownership. So all that person has to do is be at their highest and best, which is actually speaking on the phone. They'll be told the next time they have to call them, and it'll immediately go into their pipeline and they can immediately take action. And hopefully, as a result of the rest of the follow-up that ensures that person wasn't left by the wayside, these additional action items incentivize the opportunity for this customer to call back in and allow them to close the deal. Now, let's talk about the actual sale. So when an agent would transfer the call, okay, the opener, the salesperson, would transfer the call to the assistant to finalize the payment. Now, okay, when they dispositioned the lead, the CRM would actually pull all that information after, so the agent's on the phone, the customer says, yes, I would like to buy your product. And what that sales agent would do is say, great, I'm going to transfer you to the administrative staff and they'll take care of you. They would click transfer the call, they would click one button within the CRM, and it would automatically shoot this customer profile over to the back office agent. So this agent is now no longer having to go into Skype, into email, copying and pasting information, typing in different things, building things in from 6 different tabs. It immediately pulled and fed automatically everything that administrative staff needed. So when they receive the call, they can courteously receive it, say, hi, my name is XYZ. Thank you so much for choosing to work with us. I look forward to being able to get you your product. Can I please confirm your payment details? And then with one click, they click process, order, and payment. And the card is charged, the sale is closed, and we allow the customer to go on with their way. And an additional set of automatic workflows are set in place to keep in contact with that customer to make sure they're happy and satisfied, and if there's any additional upsell that's required in order to keep them within their sphere. So the application of these one-click solutions on both sides of the transaction reduced the time to create the ticket and complete the sale from a total of 7 minutes to 15 seconds. So the total number of deals a single agent can now facilitate in a given 8-hour workday, counting for the 1-hour break, increased from a maximum of 60 per person to 1,680 deals per person. That's a growth rate of 2,700%. Now, as they continue seeking more creative ways to generate enough business to fill this new threshold, right, these employees are now each free an average of 5 hours per day or 100 hours per month to spend on revenue generating activity to help the company continue to grow and be more profitable. So Guardian was previously restricted to a limiting belief system for what they could do to achieve and afford based on unfounded assumptions. They just lacked the appropriate resource to help expose them to what's possible and expand upon their creativity for developing new ideas to increase sales without increasing the corresponding costs. So with the support of this automation, Guardian quickly transitioned from growing to scaling. Now, another great example where automation exponentially increases efficiency is another medical equipment company that we work with called Blackhawk DME. Now, we found that generating the paperwork specific to the sale of each of their products and then faxing that package to the appropriate medical office was a highly redundant task, necessitating hiring back office staff to complete. This same series of tasks were required for each order to be fulfilled and receive payment. Now, what we observed with their process was it took employees 30 minutes to complete this particular task for every order, 20 to 25 minutes to actually generate and organize the paperwork by hand, and 3 to 5 minutes to source the correct number and manually fax the package to doctors. Now, due to the limitations of manual work, in conjunction with the total available work hours, again, there's an implied fixed number of orders each employee can facilitate within a single workday. Now, as sales grow, you have to hire proportionally, and overhead will consistently increase corresponding to the growth in sales. So we should note, in their case, this is an ideal scenario because the reality is humans make mistakes. There can be typos or inaccurate information, and in the medical world, errors are unacceptable. Incorrect paperwork gets kicked back, and that same employee must redo the package and resubmit to that medical office for review again. Now, when we look at the chain of individual tasks that make up this process, we can see they're redundant in nature. It's the same steps repeated with only slight variation based on product. It's a perfect example of what automation was designed for. Now, with Blackhawk, we set out to address the problem leveraging automation to reduce the time for completion and increase productivity. We wrote a coded solution that consolidated each product's paperwork into a drop-down list, and then when an order was placed, the agent could just select the product from that list and generate the associated paperwork with one click. Now, the total time to complete the same task was reduced from 25 to 30 minutes to a total runtime of 1.5 seconds. The package came back consistently with near perfect accuracy of information, and to date has not had any orders kicked back from doctors due to error. We took things one step further for them. Because again, when you know that you have that resource in your back pocket to get more creative and make things more efficient, you get the opportunity to express and make those possibilities a reality. So what we did here was we added color-coded arrows embedded in each location that the medical staff that received this package needed to actually sign, and then added a second feature that allowed the agent to fax the package within the same system, that same dashboard, with one click. They could find the doctor's contact information and digitally fax that information with only one click right after they created the package. So in total, we reduced the time to complete this task from an average of 30 to 35 minutes to a total of 3 seconds. Another critical feature we set out to address involves the actual sale itself. Now, in the medical equipment world, every customer needs to be qualified to determine eligibility through Medicare, Medicaid, PCOS, Same and Similar, or Noridian, right? Now, we observed With Blackhawk, this task accounted for about 3 to 5 minutes per call, per live call with a customer, in order to complete and determine whether or not they even could qualify for an actual sale. They would have to manually go into each one of these databases online, manually input the information of the customer, and find out whether or not they qualified at all to purchase any of the products. Now, the nature of this task involves accessing a public database. So since we were pulling information from a fixed source, we could actually code an automated workflow that consolidated all of those steps being done manually by a human into one click. So the agent just has to go into their dashboard, as you can see here. They can click Run P Verify, and then below in the highlighted yellow area, we see that the system automatically pulled from these various locations online the appropriate and corresponding responses to get that answer. So the total time now to complete this task was reduced from 3 to 5 minutes down to 1.5 seconds. And in this example, it's really important to look at the dollar value of time. If you know your conversion numbers, you can do the math. For context, let's use a simple example with simple numbers. If your agents take 40 leads per 8-hour workday, and we eliminate the minimum 3 minutes for each call, we free up 1 hour per day, or 20 hours per month of selling time per agent. And if an agent can talk to 5 people per hour, that equates to 100 leads per month. So if we use a conservative, and we know many of you have a much higher conversion rate than this, but a conservative 10% rate, we've created an additional 10 closed deals per month per agent. We didn't increase the number of hours in the day. We didn't increase headcount. We just maximized the total production per agent, okay, without increasing the cost to facilitate closing the additional volume. So as you consider these examples, I would encourage you to ask yourself, what aspects of my business could be exponentially improved if this type of technology was available to me? What are 3 things that when I look at my everyday, I say, wow, if only this could be done, my life would be so much easier, my employees would be so much more efficient, and my business would be so much more profitable. And try not to add to any limitation in terms of what you think is too far-fetched. Be as creative as you can be. And while you're doing that, let's look at a couple questions that are typically commonly asked in this regard to this topic. So how do I know, first of all, what tasks I can even be automating? Nearly everything can be automated, okay? Most importantly, what you want to look at and identify is what is the most expensive and time-consuming day-to-day functions being done manually that are repetitive in nature. Can you run verification eligibility through other insurance providers? Yes, the ability to pull information, this is important for transcending in just other areas in general. The ability to pull information for comparison off of any static website is entirely possible, and we've done this many times before. So you have a couple options here based on how frequent this static website and their database updates information. All right, first, we can make the comparison live, whereby the system actually checks the website every time a determination is made, which usually has about a 3 to 5 second delay. Or you can keep it what's called local, or a local comparison copy that actually updates on a scheduled basis, such as daily or monthly, etc. And this will make the comparison more or less instant. How do you automate these tasks? So the right CRM platform can be designed and coded to automate each specific task with a one-click or no-click solution, depending on the corresponding sequence of tasks that can be executed. Now, most business owners have heard of the CRM or ERM software, but it's important to address the common misconception of what they are, which is that they're just some expensive tool limited to data management. Now, when T65 entered into the next phase of growth, they set out to identify the best tool for their needs and found the majority of these CRMs are what we refer to as out-of-the-box platforms. Okay, so what this means is that each platform is engineered to meet the general needs of a particular industry. There are platforms for real estate and mortgage, financial services, hospitality, retail, restaurants, and on and on and on. Okay, and the functionality for each is such that they cater to the generic needs of those industry participants. Now, I use the term general very deliberately, okay? Most competitive businesses deploy a unique sales process that separates them from their competition, right? But the goal for these platforms is to sell something functionally valuable to the masses. They offer a generic blend of tools and features most commonly needed by their current client base. All right, that includes pre-built email campaigns, pre-built reports, the ability to assign tasks, schedule calls, organize contacts by the use of tags. And most of this still requires human intervention. It's still manually done, but some automation features are available on a very surface level, depending on which system you necessarily go for. And the pricing is accordingly, right? So these types of products are obviously superior to the free alternative. It does offer a significant improvement to a business's overall infrastructure, but it does not prove itself as a profit center, okay? These platforms are inexpensively priced with upfront onboarding fees ranging from nothing to about $2,500 and an ongoing monthly fee per user of $25 to $100 per month, depending on features, okay? But the first red flag T65 confronted in their search was that no out-of-the-box CRM catered specifically to Medicare Advantage or Medigap insurance sales industry. They would have to identify platforms that served the most similar business model to theirs, which offered some functionality to address their most critical needs. Okay, so T65 managed to identify a platform able to assist with certain functionality, primarily data management, but would still need to use additional systems for other aspects of their business that couldn't integrate with the CRM. So without this type of integration, they would have to adjust their sales process around this new technology and then would have to train their staff accordingly. So it naturally just made things difficult. And they approached the engineering team. They requested certain components to be customized to fit their particular needs, and they were even willing to pay for those changes. Their request for customization was rejected. All right. The company wasn't willing to allocate the resources to build out functions that didn't suit the majority of their clients. The CRM retained its reputation as an expense, and it offered marginal improvements in certain areas, but felt they had to accept the limitations, and their competition was likely faced with the same dilemma. Now, as an entrepreneur, business owner, type A sales professional with dreams of making a lot of money, you lose the patience of having to accept drawbacks that suppress your ability to accomplish your goal. And T65 had that very same epiphany. Now, Salesforce is the biggest player in the space, okay? In the CRM space, I should say. They service over 150,000 businesses, including major Fortune 500 companies. They are a publicly traded company generating billions of dollars in annual revenue, and they own the tallest building in the San Francisco skyline, aptly named Salesforce Tower. Now, the best way to illustrate Salesforce's offering is to imagine them as the largest automotive parts warehouse in the world. They have everything you need to build a 1996 Honda Accord or a 2020 Ferrari Spider, but they don't provide the tools or direction to build the metaphorical car. The cost of the platform is access to the warehouse. So when T65 approached Salesforce, they were surprised to find that they didn't actually build the CRM for them, but they would have to actually contract a third-party team of engineers known as Salesforce consultants to do the work. So they pursued this direction, and they elected to meet with a reputable local team of consultants to become better educated as to just what this option looks like for them. Now, initially, they did feel relieved and excited, right? I mean, the consultant listened to their problems, described how Salesforce was fully capable of providing a solution to every roadblock they were facing. And there was one major caveat, though: the cost. So to build out a custom CRM capable of achieving T65's objectives would require a substantial upfront investment and costly ongoing expenditures for support and future modifications. They were faced with a major and unexpected business decision. one for which, if the investment failed to live up to its promise, would have significant financial implications. So they had to ask themselves, like, would this be worth the financial risk? Would their employees easily be able to adapt to it? Would it prove to be the magic pill? These were serious questions that Mike and Kyle would have to ask, because the cost associated for initial development would start at $75,000 to $100,000 based on what their current headcount was. Now, the example we're showing here was taken from Dennis Zinko at ScienceSoft, and Dennis demonstrated what it conservatively costs to build a customized, automation-based CRM powered by Salesforce for a mid-sized company with 49 employees. So what we want to do is we want to break down what each of these itemized costs you see on this digital receipt are. So Lightning Enterprise Edition is the cost per user. This is access to the CRM. Okay, this is the user fee. Now Salesforce charges at a monthly rate, paid in full on an annual basis. Okay, and Lightning Enterprise is what gives you access to the automation features. Consulting, this is the fee to the Salesforce consultant for building the CRM. So in this example, Dennis estimated basically a 2-week job for what they were doing. But of course, that's going to vary based on the complexity of the build. The data migration. So this is associated with cleaning, organizing, coding, creating custom fields, and importing your data from the system you're currently using and into the new CRM. So again, the fee is really it's going to vary by complexity and of the job. Okay. The integration, this is what it costs to actually integrate any external technology you might use, such as your dialer. Okay. And again, this fee is going to vary based on how many different external systems you use and how complex it will be to integrate it into Salesforce. User training. So this is a cost to train employees. All right. Now, in this particular case, the company referenced as an example actually employed an in-house administrator whose starting salary is $100,000 or greater. Okay. And so the cost associated with this particular job is much higher than T65 would pay. Now, however, in all likelihood, in our experience, when you end up getting in bed with Salesforce, at some point down the line, you hire an admin anyway. So they may not have paid the fee up front where they were at for training one, but for the most part, especially when, in T65's case, the amount of creativity they put towards their business and the amount of ongoing modifications they've needed in order to constantly enhance what they do, it would have been necessary anyway. After launch support, this is determined by the length of service and hourly rate of the provider. So Dennis had stated that on average, companies need, this type of support for 3 months post-launch. So this $45,000 figure reflects that typical cost for that 3-month period. Again, it'll vary by consultant that you use, right? So before committing to this investment, T65 decided, okay, we should probably do a little bit more due diligence in pursuit of other options and see what's out there. Okay. They understood that the ROI on this type of platform could in fact be justified, but they really wanted to consider all comparable options before making such a significant business decision of that type of financial investment. All right. Now, Mike actually used to employ StackBoost.io's founder, Richard, at one of his previous companies, and Rich was the CRM architect. So what better way to start than Mike calling Rich and saying, hey, before I make any major decisions, I wanted to run this by you. This is what I was looking at doing with Salesforce. Okay. And after speaking with Richard, they learned that Rich had actually been building customized CRM, ERM solutions equally as powerful as Salesforce at a fraction of the cost. So if they were just able to detach themselves from buying a brand name product, they could actually partner with a company that would treat them like a valued customer instead of another notch on the belt and achieve the same goal at a fraction of the price. So here are some additional questions you might be asking yourself having just reviewed that material, right? How can we achieve this type of quality customization so much more inexpensively? So StackBoost.io is a highly specialized team of engineers and consultants that necessitate a fraction of the overhead relative to our peers. Okay? We selectively leverage the highest quality technology and configure it to your specific requirements. So the quality remains equal, if not better, due to customization from a technology standpoint, and the cost to actually produce is much lower, which allows us to consistently beat all of our peers from a pricing perspective. So for example, if you look at the image we use for Salesforce, okay, they own the largest tower in the skyline. So we all heard about what California real estate is like, especially with San Francisco. So that's their real estate bill. We don't quite have that type of inherent financial burden. So obviously our ability to charge a substantially less amount becomes a very real and very realistic competitive advantage. Now, what happens if there's a technical issue, right? A lot of times people want to know, do you have the infrastructure to handle the needs of a large company with 1,000+ employees? So we leverage the technology products of multi-billion-dollar software companies, and that includes Jira Core, Amazon Web Services, Tableau, and others, in addition to employing engineers in every time zone throughout the United States. So your CRM is actually hosted through Amazon Web Services, which handles Netflix, LinkedIn, Facebook, ESPN, BBC, and other major multinational corporations. So from an enterprise risk management standpoint, you are in good company, okay? In the event of any problem, you also have a direct line of communication with our engineers. You'll never be treated as a number. So to summarize, if we can see that if your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business can leverage the resources of dedicated solutions experts to overcome your limited belief systems for what technology can do for your business and allow you to think bigger and more creatively. 2, apply automation to labor-intensive, time-consuming, and expensive tasks currently being done by hand. 3, feed live and historical data into one centralized location with automation tools for generating valuable reports on your business that's customized to fit your specific business processes affordably. Then you can reduce operating costs by at least $250,000 annually from automating over 1,000 tasks per day, and track your commission and retention rates by agent, closer, carrier, and state. Now, to achieve this objective, you have 3 real options. The first is using out-of-the-box CRM platforms. Now, let's go over some of the issues that you're going to confront by going this first route. Okay, first of all, none exist for Medicare Advantage or Medigap insurance sales specifically. So you will have to be making a purchasing decision by guessing which CRM is designed for the most similar business model to yours. Okay, the second, no customization. All right, you have to build your business around this technology instead of the technology being built around your business. Third, you will no doubt have to accept limitations. Okay, these types of plug and play platforms are created based on the assumptions for the general needs of the client base of that CRM. So additional modifications specific to your business will typically be rejected unless they fall into the overall needs of the majority. Meaning, if it's just for you, it won't be done. So do what everyone else does and you'll be fine. Nominal improvement for a nominal cost. Listen, you're only paying to solve part of the problem. The CRM will remain and uphold its reputation as an expense instead of an actual profit center. And in most cases, this type of frustration ends up leading to what's called as CRM hopping, where you're constantly in search of finding a better fit platform, or until you finally just break down and hire an internal CRM administrator, which has a starting salary of roughly $100,000 plus. And again, internal CRM administrator is actually how Richard, our founder, got started. And lastly, the majority of CRMs are no-code solutions. So this means that a programmer, including that internal IT admin that you just hired, can't even do any custom work, even though you want and are willing to pay for it. So it actually limits the platform, this type of CRM technology, in a modern business context. Your second option, popular option, pay for a big budget CRM like Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, Cisco, etc. Okay, so the first two problems are in conjunction with each other. First, extremely expensive. Okay, significant upfront investment, and you're paying primarily for a brand name. Second, we're just going to reiterate, it's extremely expensive. Okay, between $150 to $300 per user per month, and paid in full annually just to receive support and automation features. So remember, this is just for the access to the CRM. That's the user fee. So first, you're paying up front to have it build a substantial amount of money, as we showed in that other receipt. And second is the actual user fees are $150 to $300, depending on whether or not you're getting support and whether you're getting automation. And all of it is paid up front annually as a contract basis. So canceling is basically impossible. I know, I've had the experience. I tried to cancel. The truth is, what you're really doing is asking for a refund, and it usually doesn't play out too well. Third, it requires third-party support. So you're going to have to hire a Salesforce consultant to actually build out your CRM and then provide any type of ongoing assistance, which is actually the next point. It's very difficult to configure. So typically, it's standard operating procedure that whenever someone gets involved and starts utilizing Salesforce as their company CRM, that you end up going with either a third-party consultant, or ultimately you start bringing in an internal administrative staff to do those kinds of configurations and to help sales staff, because the next point, it's very difficult to use. In my experience, I've worked with in a company that used Salesforce, primarily of salespeople, and it just was not helpful for them. Salespeople are just going. They're rolling. They just want to sell. They don't want to have to be dealing with any little things. They don't want to have to use a manual and figure out how to use this system to get a report. They just want someone to give it to them. And so it's very difficult to use unless you have the appropriate business and technical skills to actually navigate the platform and successfully maximize the benefits. Okay. And lastly, which we touched on just earlier, in-house support. So in the end, what happens is, if we just play the tape forward, you end up having to actually get an in-house administrator anyway. Okay, the starting salary is $100,000 plus per year. That's what Richard did prior to coming in here, not necessarily for Salesforce, though he has configured it for it, but that was really how he got his start. And pretty much any company who uses those types of large scale systems end up having to hire that type of employee as a member of their staff, both to configure, customize, get things going, and just to be as a source of support for the rest of the team that struggles to be able to use the technology. So the third is that by you using and working with us at StackBoost.io, we're the only CRM, ERM solution tailor-made for your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business that achieves the four most important objectives for scaling. First, it incentivizes creative thinking for devising unique strategies to increase sales and improve your operational efficiency. Second, we fully automate all labor-intensive functions your business confronts daily with seamless one-click or no-click solutions. Third, we consolidate all systems and software into one platform to provide live visibility for the factual data imperative for you to make business objectives, i.e. tracking sales by retention, commission, carrier, state. And fourth, it's customizable, programmable, coded, and affordable CRM solution that we designed around your business process, okay? It's designed with a simple user interface that allows all employees to maximize the benefits successfully and can be modified to meet your evolving needs as you scale alongside you. So again, who is this for? All right, this type of solution is specifically designed for Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business owners and managers who are motivated to scale their business successfully by exponentially growing revenue while reducing the corresponding costs associated with achieving that goal. So if you're an owner or manager that recognizes you're not making as much money as you should be, okay, and that you've identified that there are a number of labor-intensive tasks required to close a deal that could be automated, and that you lack the technology for tracking the day-to-day activities of your business required for making strategic decisions, this is for you. All right? By working with us, you will be following in the footsteps of the master management consultant Peter Drucker, who states what gets measured gets managed. Okay? With working with StackBoost.io, you will be tracking every aspect of your business to make database decisions with confidence. Okay? We create customized reporting on metrics that allow you to make data-driven decisions to grow and scale your business. We remove the guesswork so you can make decisions based on the living facts of your organization. You can see what you want, when you want. All you got to do is tell us what it is that you're looking for. Again, you will automate all tasks your staff has been doing manually with one-click or no-click solutions, and this in turn will increase your revenue and drive down CPA. You will own a customized CRM. Let me say that one more time. You will own a customized CRM designed to wrap around your business structure, okay? The technology is yours, and it's built around you instead of you having to adjust your process around it. All right, we provide a fixed cost structure. So if we underestimate the time to build, we will not hold you hostage by halting production, nor will we bill you for additional hours. We will complete your build with pipeline priority through the entirety of the job. All right. In addition, you'll have access to ongoing solution services and tech support. So if you have a question, just call or message us on Slack. You have a direct line of communication to all the engineers. If you want to assess how we can implement additional functionality based on the evolving needs of your business, we'll design a custom solution to achieve it. And if we don't have what you need right now, we'll build it for you. All right. And ultimately, you will eliminate substantial overhead costs, increase revenue, and leverage automation to scale your business beyond your wildest imagination. Freedom for infinite business creativity, okay? By expanding your mind, you expand your potential because awareness is the greatest alchemy there is. And right now you might be asking, how does this all work? Before, your business potential was suppressed by your limited awareness of what was possible with technology. Now, you've unburdened yourself of the responsibility for making costly, falsely assumptions to freely observe, visualize, and create new ways to transform your business. Before, you had no way of knowing what your commission and retention rates were by carrier or by state, and merely had to trust your income was properly documented and fulfilled by each insurance provider. Now you have the reporting functionality to know exactly how much business you've generated and retained, to identify unpaid commissions and reconcile with the carrier when needed using hard data. Before, you used Google Sheets or out-of-the-box reporting tools to gain minimal insight into your day-to-day business activity. Now you have full control and one-click access to view exactly what data you need to see on a daily basis for making those strategic decisions. Before, you couldn't track the conversion rates of your sales agents accurately to appropriately delegate leads. Now you have complete insight into every statistic related to your sales agent's performance to determine the best lead management strategy for maximizing conversion. Before, you had no tangible way of knowing how successful your marketing campaigns were by state or customer demographic, or even at all. Now you can drill down into the micro analytics to track the performance of all your campaigns to determine how to better allocate resources for growing sales further. Before, your only means of delegating leads were based on who's up next. Now you can set exact criteria based on a host of variables, including state of residency, agent production, time of day, and more to distribute leads accordingly and have it done automatically. Before, you had to hire a fleet of back office staff to fulfill each order manually and had an inherent limitation to the number of deals you could close in a day before having to hire an additional administrative assistant. Now, you can automate over 1,000 tasks per day to alleviate hundreds of hours per month of wasted time that employees can spend on revenue generating activity. You've reduced your operational costs by at least $250,000 per year. Before, your out-of-the-box CRM provided access to basic IT support that could help you reset passwords or other simple issues. And if you used a big budget platform, you had to pay an exorbitant amount of money for meaningful assistance at their convenience. But now you have a direct line of communication with engineers, ongoing IT support, and ongoing solutions consulting to ensure your CRM, ERM platform continues to fit the evolving needs of your business and grows alongside you as you scale. Technology has become your partner, and it's now a profit center. Before, you found what you needed, but you couldn't afford the investment required. Now, you found what you needed to accomplish your objectives successfully at a price that fits your budget. So let's not mince words, okay? There is a right and wrong way to scale your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business profitably. All right, we've laid out examples of multiple other businesses who've initially trekked down the wrong path in order to illustrate what that journey looks like, so you don't have to spend any more time learning the same lessons for yourself. If you want to successfully implement a customized automation-based CRM into your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business with a big budget platform like Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, etc., you're looking at spending at least $75,000 to $100,000 in your first year to build. All right. Licensing costs per user for Salesforce Lightning Enterprise Experience start at $150 per user if you want access to just automation features. And they're $300 per user if you want support included, and they bill on an annual basis, requiring you to pay the full amount up front. So example, if you have 20 users at $150 per users times a 12-month period, you're paying $36,000 upfront without support. And obviously, if it's $300 per user because you want that support feature, it's $72,000 upfront before even building the platform just for access to it. It's $72,000 out of pocket to have that kind of support functionality. Third-party consultants are required to build out your CRM. They charge $150 to $200 per hour. So depending on your complexity, you're looking at that as a billing rate. Basic builds that involve some automation and integration with external systems will require a minimum of 100 hours for completion. More complex sales processes that involve multiple external systems need to be integrated, can take substantially more time to get them working harmoniously. If your build takes longer than initially quoted, you will be billed for additional hours, and all work will be halted until all fees are paid in full. So businesses that leverage Salesforce and similar big budget platforms find that the program is complicated to use and necessitate ongoing assistance or onboarding a full-time administrator to assist sales staff. And hiring that type of individual in-house on a full-time basis starts at roughly $100,000 per employee annually. Now, these figures, they only represent the initial build. As your business scales and you identify new ways to increase sales, modifications will be required to provide additional functionality and customization. We see frequently other insurance sales businesses invest well over $1 million for a fully automated CRM over a 3 to 5 year period. But even at that price, they've still found the ROI justifies the investment comfortably. Now with StackBoost.io, we fix your costs to build up front. Okay? After reviewing your business plan and determining the best structure for achieving your business objectives, we present you an estimate for total hours to complete and the cost associated. A typical build for a Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business is $17,500 upfront to engineer the automation features, import the data, create customized functionality, integrate with all your various external systems, etc. But if we underestimate the time to build, we do not bill you for the difference. And we will continue working on your platform with pipeline priority until it's completed. All right? With us, the cost per user is $100 per month, paid monthly, and includes ongoing tech support and solutions consulting. Okay? All in, the total cost with us is consistently a tenth of our big budget peers, such as Salesforce, SAP, and others. So if your goal is to develop creative selling solutions for outpacing your competitors, substantially reduce your overhead expenses, exponentially increase revenue, decrease CPA, streamline your business processes, gain total visibility into your business metrics, and scale effectively, then this is your solution. And the next step in your research to confirm this thesis is to set up a one-on-one call with me by clicking the link below. All right, we can talk through your needs. We'll talk about what your process looks like and get a better understanding for all the ideal wish list items you wish your CRM, ERM platform can do right now. And we can see how significant this type of automation platform can help you in achieving your goals. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to find that nearly anything your mind can conceive, we can achieve, and that it does in fact exist. Now, I'll be honest with you. Right now, Richard and I are focused on collecting case studies that illustrate how much value StackBoost.io delivers to our clients. So after we build your CRM, I will be asking you to use your logo and testimonial on our website and permission to share your success story in future videos for prospective clients. Now, we're just talking about simply the statistical evidence reflecting your before and after experiences the same way we illustrated with Blackhawk, T65, and Guardian. So we're giving special attention to clients that are willing to be a case study and are offering pipeline priority when accepting new jobs. So we're fortunate to be in a position to have shared 3 case studies with you today because of our reputation for excellent work and superior customer service. And we've garnered that reputation by limiting the number of builds we accept per month in order to provide our clients with that type of white glove service. So if you do not wish to allow us to share your experience as a case study, we totally understand and we will not turn you away. However, it's just important to note that turn times for completion will be a little bit longer than our standard. However, for watching this video, we're going to do something really special because we value your time and know that you invested a great portion of it to watch this and learn more. So with our focus right now on working with clients, permitting us to share their success stories, we will reduce the price of your build 15%. So as an example, if the cost to build your CRM is estimated at $20,000, we would reduce the total cost to $17,000 for the same build in exchange for a case study. You may be asking, okay, I like it. This is exciting and very interesting, but what kind of assurances do I have if we work together? So we guarantee our work and we firmly believe it will exceed your expectations in allowing you to scale your business successfully. But there are 2 particular assurances we absolutely guarantee. 1, we guarantee our estimate. Okay? After your consultation, we will produce a proposal that includes an estimate for work. If we tell you it will take 100 hours and cost $17,500 to build, then that's what it is. That's the price. If it ends up taking 120 hours, we will not bill you for the difference and we won't hold you hostage for additional money. Any additional time required to complete will be on us and it will be given pipeline priority. Second, really important, you own the technology. If for whatever reason in the future you decide we are no longer the best solution for you, the technology is yours to continue without us as your partner. We've seen other CRM companies who do not extend this type of professional courtesy, which is why I address it here. But we're confident we're the best at what we do and you'll never want to go with anyone else. But if you do, that burden falls on us. It doesn't fall on you. So we'll export the program and we'll show you what's needed to manage it yourself going forward. So brass tacks, let's recap. All right, by working with StackBoost.io, you will get the freedom to be creative in identifying new ways to sell more insurance without perceived limitations for your technological capacity. You'll get a customized automation-based CRM tailor-made to your business that automates all redundancies, significantly reduces operating costs, increases revenue, and drives down CPA. You'll get full visibility and tracking of all facets of your business with customized reporting functionality backed by the most powerful reporting software in the industry. You'll get the power and capability of a big budget CRM like Salesforce, and you'll pay 1/10 of the price. And if after you become a raving fan of the results we deliver to you and you let us use your logo, your testimonial, and success story as a case study, we're going to give you 15% off as a discount of your initial build. All right. Again, we are giving pipeline priority to those who allow us to use their success story as a case study, and we can only do so many builds per month while providing the same level of high quality service we've earned our reputation for. So if you're ready to do what you never thought could be done and take your Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales business to a whole nother plane of existence, click here and schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. I'll answer any additional questions you have, assess your needs, and provide you with a guarantee estimate for delivering results. And now, one thing I always like to ask anyone we talk to in any type of consultation that I get set up, step out of yourself for a moment, look at your business, and come up with a list of 3 wish list items you wish technology could do for you that you envision is probably impossible or maybe even really, really far-fetched. And write those down and throw them to us in the consultation to have a look at and see whether or not this thing that you currently believe is impossible can actually be achieved. And if it can, we'll write up the solution on how to do it, and we can look at making that vision your reality. Now, some of you may be asking a couple final questions. I want to make sure we get all those answered here. Of course, there's some that I may miss, and I'd love to be able to answer for you personally one-on-one in one of our consultations. But how long will this take to get up and running is a common question. So a typical build can take 30 to 90 days depending on the features and complexity. So it varies based on need, but we'll talk those through during our first consultation call. And also, it's important to note, it's also possible to start using your CRM before it's 100% completed, as certain functionality requirements are non-blocking. How much does this cost? So price is what you pay, value is what you get. By the very nature of specialization, we can offer better value to Medicare Advantage and Medigap insurance sales businesses because we've built a very specific solution to solve very specific problems, thus allowing us to charge a fraction of the major big budget platforms. So cost varies based on needs and functionality. And after our consultation call, we will produce a proposal for you that includes turn times, build costs, and monthly user fees that we guarantee and stand behind. How much will it cost to make additional changes in the future? It's a fraction of major big budget platforms, okay? Modifications and changes are determined in advance and are priced based on the complexity of what's being done. What if I want to do it myself and just hire in-house? Definitely an option. Okay, so if that's the route you want to go, anticipate salary requirements starting at about $100,000 annually per employee, plus the purchase of various licenses for software that have to be built into the platform, but it is an option. Again, that's how Rich started before he founded this company. So totally on the table. Can I have my current or historical data imported into the new platform? Yes. It is part of the build. We will scrub and import all of your data from any sources that you're currently housing it in. How long will the system have to go down for if we need to make changes? It won't. Okay, we can actually remain fully functional regardless of modifications, even during the build. There are milestones that will actually allow us to get you up and running before the full build is even complete. How can I test it out? If you'd like a demo, just click the link below, schedule some time with me, and we'll walk you through an example platform so you can see really how it looks and how it works and how it feels. How many users can you handle? No limitation. Okay, we can facilitate as many as you can hire to facilitate your growing business, whether it's 10 or 10,000, we can handle it. How easy is it to use? It's very simple user interface. In fact, it's one of the foundations of how we designed it, and Jira Core in itself as a platform. All of our clients have found it very easy to use and have had no difficulty getting their staff comfortable with the system. In fact, upfront training on behalf of us with employees has been minimal in terms of the actual need. We offer it. It really hasn't been required because it's just very intuitive. Will you be able to adapt to the growth of my business? We're built to scale with you. It is literally the foundation of our mission. What technology do we use behind the scenes? So we use a handful of different industry leading programs that we code to communicate with each other behind the scenes to produce the ideal results. Now this includes Jira Core as the actual CRM, Tableau for reporting, Amazon Web Services for hosting, Zapier for integration, and more, okay? So depending on what you need, we can go into further details regarding what software will power which parts of your business. But we just wanted to give you those as an example. It's all, for lack of a better word, industrial grade proven technology, okay? What happens to the technology if I decide to go a different direction in the future? The technology is yours and it's owned by you. We firmly stand behind everything we do and are confident you will want to grow together indefinitely. But if we can't fulfill our mission, we will export the entire platform to you directly. You will just need to hire a consultant or IT professional to manage it. So again, if you have any other questions, please schedule some time with me, even if it's just to ask a couple questions, and we can chat. We can talk about what it is that your needs are, what are some of your wish list items, and flesh out anything in regards to technology and the relationship to increasing your sales while fixing the costs and reducing your overhead. And we're happy to chat and walk through, strategize, and brainstorm any ideas that you may have right now. So the link is below. I look forward to talking to you, and most importantly, I look forward to being of service. So thank you so much for your time. I know how valuable it is, and we appreciate you spending it here with me. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all.